My name is Ray Morris and I teach electrical at a community college. Today's short lesson is about residential boxes. What type of boxes go in houses. Hopefully we'll learn a little bit and you'll have a better understanding after this video. The types of boxes in a house, you got single gang nail-on plastic box. That's what we use around here. This is the southeast. Other places may use metal boxes, but around here we buy a single gang nail-on box. That's the most popular. One receptacle or one switch will fit in this, and when you buy it, it has two nails that already kind of on top and bottom. It's ready to go. You just put it where you want it on the stud and just hammer it in. But these are the typical box right here that we use in housing today. There's different depths of boxes. The most popular is the 18 cubic inch, and as you can see, it's on bottom. B, I guess, stands for box. 1 is single gang, and then 18 inch, or 18 is the cubic inches. If you look on top, it's a B box single gang 22 cubic inch. As you can see, it's deeper. Why would you want a deeper box? Well, you may have 3 or 4 wires coming in it, and there's a limit to how many wires you can put in a box. So therefore, if you're putting 2 wires, typically is what you put in a box. You go in and out, go into the next receptacle. That's what you'd use a 18 cubic inch for, but you may, for some reason, go in and go out 2 different ways to 2 different receptacles. And so you may want a deeper box. The advantage of having a 22 cubic inch is there's more depth, but the disadvantage is when they screw the sheetrock in from the back side, you have a chance for that screw to go into the box. On the 18 cubic inch, the screw will not quite reach the box, so hopefully your wire will not get damaged. But that's kind of the pros and cons of getting a deeper box. You got 18, 20, 22, 24. But 24 is basically the width of the stud, 3.5 inches. So, I mean, you can get what you want. Obviously, the 18 inch is the most economical and it's the most popular. You got depth gauges, and these orange arrows show there's a little tab, and that's for 1/2 inch sheetrock. If you put those against the stud and then nail it on, you're going to be about just under a 1/2 inch sticking out of the stud. So when you get your sheetrock on there, then it's flush, and that's what you want. You don't want it too far back in the sheetrock. You want it flush with the sheetrock. So then we're depth gauges, we call them, but that helps you kind of get it sticking out far enough. You know, you don't want to have your ruler out trying to measure that if you're 1/2 inch out or whatever. So they come up with that idea, which is a great idea. Okay, a 2 gang box. A 2 gang box means you can put 2 devices in it. And obviously this is a used one, but it had nails in it at one time at the top and bottom. And you can see the depth gauges. And the thing on the right, where it's got that hole in it, is a brace tab. And what it does is you put a 2x4 on there, and when the sheetrock gets on both sides, that keeps the box from pushing back. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed, probably some of y'all have, most of you haven't, but if you get a 3 or 4 gang box and it gets real wide, when you start pushing or plugging in something on the far end, it gives. Well, if you had a piece of 2x4 right there nailed onto that tab, a brace tab, it wouldn't move because the sheetrock's holding it together. So that's what that's for, is for a 2x4. Of course, you got 2 gangs there because you can do 2 switches. And then you got your tabs, your brace, your depth gauges. Obviously, this is a 3 gang box, and it's got the nails in it. And you can see in the very back, it says, I think, Allied something 330. It's a 33 cubic inch box. So we can put a lot more wires in there. And so obviously, that's a good thing because we're putting 3 devices in there. This is a round plastic box. It's a nail-on, same thing. It's typically used for closet lights. You would not want to put a chandelier like hanging over your dining room table. You wouldn't want to put a ceiling fan on this because the ceiling fan will eventually wobble, and it's plastic. You want metal boxes for that. But this is typically for maybe a 4-inch candlelight that you're putting up, or the closet lights that's real lightweight. And it has a depth gauge on the left side. You can see it's got kind of a line there, and that's kind of your depth gauge. Obviously, it's used for lightweight fixtures. Yes, metal octagon boxes. These, this has been cleaned out. Usually has some Romex internal clamps on it. But this is a metal box, and this is what you're going to use for ceiling fans. You will put a 2x4 across your ceiling joist, put your ceiling fan, put this box where you want the ceiling fan to go, and put a couple of screws in it. You don't want it to wobble or anything, so you want this good and secure. But it's used for, paddle fans and chandeliers and that type of stuff. This is called a pancake box. These are not used much at all, but if you look on the right side, it's about a 1/2 inch thick, obviously for a 1/2 inch sheetrock. But let's say you got a ceiling joist right in the dead center of your room. Well, you can't put a box there, and you don't want to notch out your ceiling joist. So what you do is you put a pancake box there. You screw it to the ceiling joist, and then you knock out one of those round holes, and that's where you bring your wire in, and there you got it. You didn't have to hurt your ceiling joist and try to notch it out or anything. You just put this up there, and it works out good. Every once in a while, maybe one per house or two, you'll get in the bedroom or the living room or something. There's a ceiling joist right in the dead center of the house or that room. And so, therefore, you can use what they call a pancake box. Like I said, they're used when the center of the room is on a ceiling joist. These are called I call them cut-in boxes when I was doing work, because you'd have to cut a hole in the sheetrock or wherever you was trying to put it. But some people call them old work because you're trying to put something in an old spot. But it's got tabs on the top and screws on the top and bottom. And if you look at the top right-hand side, when you tighten the screw, that little tab will flip up. So you'll cut your sheetrock the size of the box, the inside, and then you got them tabs. When you push it in, those blue tabs up top and bottom will keep it from falling in the hole that you cut. And then when you turn that screw, that tab that you see in the picture on the top right will tighten up on the back side of the sheetrock, and that's what holds the box in place. And I've got a comparison on the bottom right. It's got a regular box, nail-on box without the nails, and then the old work. So you don't want to buy an old work box for a new construction because it doesn't have the nails, and you'd have to figure out some way to put it in there. One of the, I could say, issues that I have with old boxes like that, if you're putting a GFI in there, GFIs are kind of thick, and they have a hard time pushing back into those because you've got those tabs and stuff. It's not as deep of a box, but they are used some. But basically, you find out where you want to put your receptacle or switch or new device. You cut the hole, you pull your wire down, and you find your wire, locate it, and then you pull the wire through that box and then push the box into the wall, and voila, you got what you want there. And they're used for remodels. But this